90% of people spend every single day in a slow form of self-destruction called mental exhaustion, and they never realize the key to breaking free has been hidden inside our oldest wisdom all along. This is Zen Seeker Wu. Do you feel like there is a radio inside your head that you cannot turn off? During the day, it plays anxiety about the future. At night, it replays regret about the past. Your body has not done anything physically demanding, yet your mind feels like it just ran a marathon. If that sounds like you, stay with me. What I want to talk about today might completely reshape the way you operate. A lot of people hear the phrase, "do not overthink." Everything has its own timing, and their first reaction is to dismiss it. They think it is an excuse for the weak. They think it is the poison of fatalism. But let me tell you, if that is how you see it, you have got the underlying logic of how this world works completely backwards. This phrase is not telling you to give up. It is the exact opposite. It is showing you how to find the one leverage point you can actually control in a chaotic world, and use it to move your life forward. Welcome to Zen Seeker. Here, I do not talk about abstract theories. I only talk about how to live with wealth, happiness, and clarity in a world full of uncertainty. I have spent half my life studying the relationship between wealth, happiness, and philosophy. And what I have found is that the greatest source of modern suffering is not a lack of material things. It is mental overload. We are like a phone with only 8 gigabytes of memory trying to run hundreds of background programs at once. The result is overheating, freezing, and eventually crashing. Today, I am going to break down this widely misunderstood phrase, "everything has its own timing," and show you how it can help us shut down those useless background programs so your life can run smoothly again. Before we go deeper, I want to ask you to do one thing. If anything in this video gives you even a single moment of relief, or helps you pull one foot out of the mud of anxiety, please subscribe to this channel and give this video a like. That is not just support for me, it is a signal that you are ready to clear the useless worry out of your mind. I also want to hear from you in the comments. You can leave a simple phrase like, "take it slow," or you can write down the one thing that has been making you most anxious lately, or share what timing and destiny mean to you. Trust me, the moment you write your anxiety down, it already loses half its power over you. We are not just an audience here. We are a group of people walking toward inner freedom together. Every interaction you make adds energy to this community, alright? Let us take a deep breath and get into it. First, we need to clear up a massive misconception. What does it actually mean to overthink? Many people believe that thinking is a sign of intelligence. They tell themselves, "I review the past and plan for the future every day. That means I am being responsible for my life." Wrong. Completely wrong. I have to be blunt with you. What most people call thinking it is an endless loop of mental noise. Think about it when you are lying in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. What is actually running through your mind? It is something like, "Why did I say that stupid thing at that party 3 years ago?" Or, "What if the company lays people off next month? What am I going to do?" Or, "Why is that person who is less capable than me doing better than I am?" Do any of these thoughts help solve a real problem? Not even a little. They are like putting your car in neutral and slamming the gas pedal. The engine roars, the fuel, which is your mental energy, burns away fast, but the car does not move an inch. That is why you feel exhausted. This kind of tiredness is not physical fatigue, it is energy depletion. Your soul has been hollowed out, because you have been sacrificing your precious energy to 2 places that do not even exist, the past and the future. So when the old wisdom says do not overthink, it does not mean become a fool. It does not mean stop analyzing. It means stop this meaningless internal drain. Stop revving the engine in neutral. So how do we stop? That brings us to the more controversial part of the phrase. Everything has its own timing. I know that in an era that celebrates the idea of conquering fate through sheer will, hearing the word timing or destiny might trigger resistance. You might think, wait, were you not teaching us to be proactive and ambitious? Are you now telling us to just accept our fate? If everything is predetermined, why should I even try? I might as well lie at home and wait for good things to fall from the sky. Whatever is meant for me will come to me anyway. If that is what you are thinking, I need to tell you very seriously, you are looking at Eastern philosophy far too superficially, and you have completely misread how the real world operates. The concept of timing in this phrase is not some pre-written script that dictates what age you get rich, what age you get sick, what age you die. That is superstition. In my philosophical framework, what we call timing, translated into modern science and economics, means objective laws. It means trends. It means forces beyond individual control. Let us zoom out for a moment. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Is that a fixed pattern? Yes, spring, summer, autumn, winter, the seasons rotate. Is that a fixed pattern? Yes, a human being is born, grows, ages, and eventually dies. Is that a fixed pattern? Of course it is. These are the laws of physics. These are the iron rules of biology. No matter how strong you are as an individual, you cannot change these larger frameworks. If you are in a bad mood today and you point at the sun and say, "Rise from the west for me," will the sun listen? It will not. If you hate winter and say, "I do not want winter this year, let us skip straight to spring," is that possible? It is not. This is the first layer of what timing means. We must acknowledge that this world runs on a set of underlying code that does not bend to human will. This code includes the laws of physics. It includes economic cycles. It even includes the weaknesses of human nature. You must respect these patterns instead of fighting against them like a stubborn child. Fighting against them is asking for suffering. That is called running headfirst into a wall. Much of people's pain comes precisely from trying to change things they simply cannot change. Take market fluctuations as an example. That is a form of fixed pattern. If you are an investor, the market goes up sometimes and down sometimes. That is how economies work. But many people, when the market drops, get angry, anxious, and start cursing, as if their emotions could somehow influence the price chart. That is fighting against the pattern. And what happens? The market does not bounce back because of your anger. Instead, your mental state collapses. You make a panic decision to sell at a loss, and you end up with nothing. So here is the question. If these powerful fixed patterns govern everything, does that mean we are just puppets on strings with no room to act? Absolutely not. Within the large framework of what is fixed, there is enormous room for what is variable. And that variable space is exactly where we, as human beings with free will, can and should pour all of our effort. I love using the ancient metaphor of the farmer to explain this modern dilemma. Even if you are a Silicon Valley engineer or a Wall Street trader, when it comes to this principle, we are no different from a farmer 1,000 years ago. Think about the most experienced old farmer. Does he understand fixed patterns? He is probably the person on earth who understands them best. He knows that you must plant in spring to harvest in autumn. That is the natural order. That is the fixed pattern. He would never lose his mind and scatter rice seeds in winter, expecting a summer harvest, because he knows that going against this timing means all effort equals zero, or even negative. That is respect for the fixed pattern. But let us zoom in. Same piece of land, same spring planting. Why does one farmer's field turn golden in autumn, full of plump grain, while another farmer's field barely produces anything? If spring planting and autumn harvest is the fixed pattern, why are the results so drastically different? The difference lies in the variables. The farmer with the good harvest knew the big pattern could not be changed, but he did not lie down on the ridge and take a nap. He poured all his energy into the variables. First, he selected his seeds. He did not just grab a handful of whatever was lying around. He carefully chose quality varieties. That was within his control. Second, he prepared the soil. He turned the earth loose. He pulled out every weed. He made the land ready for growth. That was within his control. Third, he tended the crops. When the seedlings came up, he fertilized them, he irrigated them. When he saw pests, he removed them. That was still within his control. And the farmer, with the poor harvest, he probably thought, well, the old saying goes plant in spring, harvest in autumn, that is just how it works. So he tossed some seeds out carelessly and went home to lie on the couch scrolling his phone. The weeds grew taller than the crops. He did not care. The soil cracked from drought. He did not water it. He completely gave up on the variables. Then autumn came. Everyone else had a full harvest. He went hungry, and he sat there complaining, "Life is so unfair. My luck is terrible. Is that not absurd?" This farmer's story is a mirror of how many of us actually live. We try to fight fate in the areas where we should be following the natural order, and we surrender to fate in the areas where we should be putting in the work. This is the highest wisdom in Eastern philosophy. Respect heaven and love humanity. Respecting heaven means honoring the fixed patterns, honoring the natural order. You cannot go against the larger forces. And loving humanity is not just about loving others, it is about loving yourself. It means exercising your own initiative. It means giving everything you have within the space of what is variable. So the phrase, "Do not overthink. Everything has its own timing," must be heard together with another phrase to get the complete picture. That phrase is, "Do your best. Then let go of the outcome." Everyone has heard this before, but very few truly understand it. What does it mean to do your best? In my words, it means taking everything within the variable space, everything within your circle of ability, everything you can do, think about, and control, and executing it to the absolute fullest, 100%, no holding back, until you can look yourself in the mirror with a clear conscience. If you are a student, doing your best means putting down your phone, clearing off your desk, understanding the math problem in front. Do not think about what happens if you get a fever on exam day. Do not think about whether this major will lead to a good job in the future. Those belong to the outcome. Those are things you cannot control right now. The only thing you can control is the problem in front of you. Solve that problem and you are building up your variables. If you are a working professional, doing your best means making your presentation excellent, analyzing your client's needs thoroughly, preparing fully for every meeting. Whether the company goes under next year, whether your boss suddenly makes an irrational decision, the macroeconomic environment, you cannot decide any of that. But if you make your work irreplaceable, even if this company folds, you will have the ability to walk into the next one. That is your accumulation in the variable space. In this process, you cannot cut corners, you cannot cheat, you cannot deceive yourself. Many people who say I have been trying so hard are only performing effort. They sit in the library scrolling their phones. They sit in the office doing nothing productive. That is not doing your best. That is acting like you are. And what does it mean to let go of the outcome? This is the real medicine for modern anxiety. The outcome is the fixed pattern. It is the things we cannot control. It is the element of luck. After you have done everything within your power, the final result, whether good or bad, often does not depend entirely on you. This is a hard truth to accept, but it must be accepted. Say you worked the land for an entire year. Every step was done perfectly. Then the day before harvest, a hailstorm that only comes once in 50 years destroys everything. What can you do? Nothing. That is a force beyond your control. Or say you built a business. The product is polished, the service is top tier. Then a financial crisis hits. Your customers have no money. Your company still goes bankrupt. That is not your fault. That is the fixed pattern of a larger cycle. In moments like these, letting go of the outcome is a form of deep wisdom. It means accepting the result. If the result is good, we feel grateful. If the result is bad, we accept it without complaining, without collapsing. We summarize what we learned. We dust ourselves off, and we try again next year. Only when you truly understand this complete loop, do your best and then let go, will your mindset undergo a fundamental shift. You will not blame the world when things go wrong, shouting, "Why is this happening to me when I tried so hard?" And you will not refuse to act out of fear of failure, turning into a nihilist. Why are so many young people today, including many entrepreneurs I have met, in so much pain? Why do they live feeling so heavy? The root cause is that their attention is aimed at the wrong place. They spend all day staring at the outcome. Will this video go viral? Will this marriage end in divorce? Will this degree lead to a 6-figure salary? Let me ask you, does thinking about these things help? These are all future events. They are filled with countless uncertainties. The more you think about them, the more chaotic your mind becomes. The more you think, the less confident you feel, because you are trying to use your brain to calculate a chaotic system with billions of variables. That is not just impossible, It is extremely foolish. When you scatter all your attention on fear and speculation about outcomes, you have no energy left to actually do the work. Your heart is racing. Your actions become distorted. You could have scored 100, but because you kept worrying about what happens if I fail, your hands started shaking and you only scored 60. That is a textbook case of how overthinking destroys performance. So when the old wisdom says do not think too much, it does not mean stop thinking about strategy. It means stop obsessing over outcomes you cannot control. What is obsessive thinking? It is spending mental energy on things you are powerless to change. I want you to take all of your energy, all of your intelligence, and focus it like a laser on one single point. That point is the present moment. That point is the process. Let me give you a personal example. When I first decided to get into investing, if I had spent every day thinking, what if this company fails? What if that founder takes the money and runs? I would never have invested a single dollar, and I would never have achieved what I have today. What I actually did was this. I set my investment principles. That was the fixed framework. Then I put in maximum effort to research every project. I read their financial reports. I talked to the founders. I analyzed the market. That was doing my best. After all of that, I signed the papers. I wired the money and I let it go. Whether that company became a unicorn or went bankrupt, that was up to the market, up to luck, up to the founder's own journey. I accepted any outcome. If it worked, I was happy. If it failed, I took the loss. But I never regretted it, because at that point in time, I had already done everything I could. That state of being is called inner peace. The true pursuit in Eastern philosophy is not about how powerful you become or how much wealth you accumulate. Those are external things. They are passing clouds. The highest state we pursue is peace of mind that comes from living in alignment with natural law. The peace is what you feel when you have followed the principles and done your part. When your mind is at peace, you can sleep at night. You can enjoy a meal. Do not underestimate being able to sleep well and eat well. In this age of anxiety, that is the greatest blessing a person can have. That is the ultimate luxury. This is actually deeply connected to the wisdom of the I Ching. I come from a tech background, but I am deeply fascinated by the I Ching. What does the I Ching teach? It teaches about change and the unchanging. The unchanging is the way. It is the fixed pattern. It is the law. The ever-changing is the specific situation. It is the variable. It is the circumstance. A truly wise person does not try to predict the future. A truly wise person knows how to use the ever-changing variables to align with the eternal, unchanging way. Speaking of this, I have to bring up the most classic story, the old man who lost his horse. I know you have heard it 1,000 times, but I want you to hear it again through my lens today. You will see that this story is practically a textbook on fixed patterns and variables. There was an old man living near the border. His horse ran away. In his neighbor's eyes, this was clearly a bad outcome, a stroke of bad luck. They came to comfort him, and what did the old man say? He said, "How do you know this is not a good thing? Pay attention." He carried a very advanced understanding of how patterns work. He knew that life does not move in a straight line. It moves in waves. Good fortune and misfortune are like two sides of a coin, constantly flipping. That is the pattern. Sure enough, a few days later, the horse came back, and it brought with it a fine horse from the northern tribes. The bad thing became a good thing. The neighbors came to congratulate him. Did the old man get excited? "Number," he said again. "How do you know this is not a bad thing?" Then his son tried to tame the new horse and broke his leg. The good thing instantly became a bad thing. The neighbors came to offer sympathy. The old man, same as always, said, "How do you know this is not a good thing?" In the end, war broke out. The army came to draft every young man in the village. 9 out of 10 died on the battlefield. But his son, because of his broken leg, was exempt from service. His life was spared. Bad thing, good thing, bad thing, good thing. This chain can extend infinitely. Why was this old man so calm, so composed? Because he saw through the fixed pattern. He knew that the result in front of him was just one moment in the long river of life. It was not the end point, so he never became wildly ecstatic over a temporary gain. and he never fell into despair over a temporary setback. But did he do nothing? Did he just sit there and wait passively? Absolutely not. When the horse was lost, he certainly went looking for it. That was doing his best. When his son broke his leg, he certainly called the best doctor he could find. That was doing his best. But for the final outcome, he could not control. Whether the horse would return, whether the leg would heal fully, he accepted it. He let go. That is the state we want to reach today. This phrase, do not overthink, everything has its own timing, is actually recalibrating our default settings. It is switching us from a high-energy drain mode of anxiety, obsession, and fighting against ourselves, into a calm, present, focused flow with the current mode that is both efficient and sustainable. When you quiet your mind, when you are no longer disturbed by all that mental noise, that is when you can see clearly. You can see what the fixed patterns actually are. You can see where the opportunity is and where the cliff is. You can identify exactly where the variable space lies and know where to make your move. Imagine water. Water is the wisest substance. The fixed pattern of water is to flow downward. That is gravity. That is the natural law. If you try to force water uphill, that is going against nature. You need a pump. It costs energy. The moment the power goes out, the water flows right back down. But as water flows downward, is it rigid? Not at all. It encounters rocks. It encounters changes in terrain. Those are variables. What does water do? It never fights the rock head on. If the path ahead is square, it becomes square. If the path is round, it becomes round. If the path is blocked, it flows around. It constantly adjusts itself to fit the environment. That is effort within the variable space. But its direction, flowing downward, returning to the ocean, that fixed pattern has never changed. To live well is to learn from water. Recognize the larger direction, that is the fixed pattern. Within that direction, adjust your strategy and methods flexibly to solve specific problems. That is finding growth within the variables. So, my dear friends, after hearing all of this, I hope you sleep well tonight. Stop worrying excessively about things that have not happened yet. That is just mental noise. Stop regretting excessively over things that already happened and cannot be changed. That is also mental noise. All of it is internal drain. It is you holding a whip and beating your own soul. What you need to do is simple. Open your eyes. See the path in front of you clearly. Move your hands and feet. Walk forward steadily. One step at a time. When you are tired, rest. When you are hungry, eat something good. When you hit a problem, find a way to solve it. If you cannot solve it, go around it. As for where we ultimately end up, what scenery we get to see, that is the result of countless causes and conditions coming together. That is the fixed pattern. The universe has its own arrangement. All we need to ensure is that throughout the entire journey, we are awake. We are giving our effort. We have a clear conscience. When you live this way, your life becomes grounded. It becomes peaceful. No matter what the external environment throws at you, storms or chaos, there is always a quiet strength inside you. That is what it means to have an anchor in your heart. And that is the true survival wisdom this phrase is trying to teach us. Do not overthink. Everything has its own timing, all right. This is only the first half. I know the principle makes sense, but putting it into practice is hard. When you are in a competitive world, when you watch your peers race ahead and leave you behind, when you are crying alone at night, how do you actually apply this wisdom to dissolve the pain? In the next part, I'm going to talk with you in depth about how to precisely identify, in your career, your relationships, and your wealth building, what is the variable you should fight for and what is the fixed pattern you should release. That is where the real practical method lives. If this first half gave you even the slightest sense of relief, please do not hold back your like. It means a great deal to me. If you have any questions about anxiety or about the concept of timing and destiny, make sure to tell me in the comments. This is Zen Seeker Wu. I will see you in the next video. Go find the variable that belongs to you.